Good morning and a warm welcome here from Eindhoven for another Power to Predict live stream. Before I am diving into the typical logistics, I want to start with two examples to already, let's say, warm ourselves up for today's topic. The first one is maybe already a recognizable and also a very irritating one. Imagine you are standing in front of a traffic light and then you are literally the only car standing there. And then you're asking yourself the question, okay, why is the traffic light red? Or another example, maybe also very relatable to us in our industry, sitting there as a security guard, sifting through hours of video materials, and then only looking for the 20-second clip that you want for evidence. Keep this in mind, because that is, that is something that we are frustrated about, and that's also something where you say, can this not be smarter? And you are not alone. It can be smarter, and that's also exactly what we're going to talk about. So I would like to welcome you to our live stream, which is called Empowering Empowering with Visual Intelligence Cities to Become Smarter. So that is what we are going to talk about today. So first of all, before we dive into those details, let's look at some logistics. Like always, you can ask questions. You see a chat box in front of you. There you can type in your questions. You can already do that during the live stream because we try to answer them during or at the end during the Q&A, or you scan the QR code and then you can also join via your mobile phone. If your live stream stops working, then please refresh. That typically solves the problem. And that's basically it. So let's dive into the topic for today. So why is it so important that we need to do things a little bit more smart? Because actually, funny enough, there is so much technology out there, technology that can make our lives easier. AI, for example, that's the buzzword for the last, let's say, roughly 5 years. But also the term visual intelligence. And if you literally think about visual intelligence and what is the meaning, you could say it's actually all about turning sights, so viewing, into extraordinary insights. So knowledge, actionable insights. But it is funny because if you then actually look at how we typically still tend to approach things, also in cities, is actually a little bit what you see here on the left-hand side. Looking after hours of video, or basically all kinds of monitors that you are monitoring, just waiting for that one thing to happen. Would it not be nice to do it more on the other side, the future, or basically what could already be happening today? Simply look at the information you need at that point in time to make cities more safe, but also at the same time to also make it more efficient. And efficiency is an interesting segue, actually, because efficiency, that is also what the next number tells us. Currently in cities, if you look at the usage of roads, etc., 110 billion euros on an annual base is lost due to inefficiencies. And 110 billion is already impressive, but think about it, do a quick calculation. That translates into 300 million a day. I must say, those are numbers that I'm absolutely not earning on a daily basis, let alone on an annual basis. So this is impressive. So that's also potential to work on. And if we then think this problem will become smaller, guess again, it will not become smaller because the trend of urbanization will continue, which means that actually 2018 we had roughly 55% people living in urban areas, and that will go up to 70% in 2050. So we still have some time, but fact of the matter is it will increase, which also would increase the complexity and the need to deal with this, to tackle these inefficiencies. So there is a lot to talk about in smart cities. Smart cities is a very broad topic. Our experts that I will, in a second from now, will ask to the stage, will also, of course, make a deep dive. But today we are mainly going to focus on the public safety side, so the security of people in cities, and on the other side, how we can make good use of visual intelligence to make sure that traffic and mobility is optimized. So for that, I'm not going to do it alone. I already said it, so I will be running here back to my desk, which is not really a run. But anyways, I would like to ask Dorit and also Gijs to the stage to join me here. And later on, we will also have a special guest. And the special guest will be someone from Milestone, because for the ones that looked at the invite, we also have, we are hosting this together Bosch not only, but also together with Milestone. But that's a little bit of a secret, so you will see who we have in store for you later on from Milestone. So, Dorit, I will start with the ladies. Welcome. And also, guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Dorit, yeah, I have invited you because you are the expert from a product marketing point of view. You can tell us everything about the AI that Bosch has to offer, and you do that on an EMEA basis, so welcome.
Thank you.
And yeah, guys, you are a new face in our live stream, but happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And you are responsible for managing the global partnership, actually, with Milestone.
That's correct.
So welcome again, and yeah, let's dive into it, because no time to lose, still 55 minutes in front of us, but I think we need it, because I saw that you have quite some topics to discuss. What I said before, Dorit, and I will help you a little bit here, visual intelligence. That's not something. There is a reason why we talk about it, and we also talked about inefficiencies. How would you relate smart cities, visual intelligence, and the use of video security?
Yeah. So indeed, you said it yourself, there's so much to do in the sense of becoming more efficient, and I think that a video sensor is one of the easiest go-to tools to achieve better efficiency. It's a very versatile sensor, actually. The camera is. It's capable of seeing, it's capable of sometimes hearing, and with our intelligence at the edge, it's even capable of understanding what it sees and delivering such valuable insights to a backend systems, like we will see in a bit with Milestone. So yeah, with that one camera located at a vantage point, I will explain it a bit later, but you can achieve real-time alarming, you can achieve data collection, you can create all sorts of insights around just the one camera, which is already there anyway, so it might as well give you a lot more.
Yeah, and what you're saying, at least that's what I get from it, and that's also nicely related to the visual intelligence topic, is that it's not about visual only, because that's what the camera does, it gives you a picture, but it is also, if you put some brains in there, some intelligence in there, so that you can also start interpreting, so that actually you go from sights to insights, basically.
Correct.
Yeah, guys, you're not standing here for nothing, at least I hope. So, what Dorit already says, the cameras play a very important role, but there is, of course, also a way to go about this. So what do we need to do? How do we need to address this in order to make those cities more smart? Because visual intelligence is a nice topic to talk about, but yeah, what are we now offering, also together with Milestone, in order to make sure that we are empowering those cities?
It's quite a question.
I know.
So I think we can divide it basically into three parts, what we would like to take people through today, right? Because we would need to know when things, we would need to know when things are happening, right? So
yeah, so what also Dorit said with
exactly.
real-time alarming,
so
for example.
We're going to start with some real-time examples where we can showcase what use cases we were able to solve only by having one camera or one very specific scene, for instance. Then we're going to show how we can analyze things and optimize things so that we can take the data that you just mentioned, the sensing device tries to label the data. We're going to try to mold that data a little bit into a shape that we can better use it as information source. And then the last step will be after the fact, when the data has been captured, when the data has been stored, we would like to smartly investigate. And I think that's also where we are particularly strong with Milestone at the moment, due to some really nice, tight collaborations.
And smart, that promises something. So it should be way easier than maybe that we were used to in the past.
Let's see.
Okay, but before we, so that's clear. So you say you need to have a capturing device that enables you to capture the data out of what the camera is seeing. This, so yeah, give it meaning, you could say. The second thing is then, okay, if you have that data, you can start analyzing it. You can also use it for actions. That can be a direct action, but it can also be measures that you are implementing at a later stage, but also indeed the same labeling of data you could use for smarter investigations. But I think what is interesting, and I'm looking at you, Dorit, is because that's why we do these live streams, is that we also show something, because talking is interesting, but showing, what do they always say? The proof of the pudding is the eating. So,
seeing is believing.
Exactly, seeing is believing. I like that one. So I would like to invite you to go to your, let's say, the sidekick stage, and then you have something to show what our cameras are capable of from a data collection point of view.
Sure, be happy to. All right, so what we have here is actually a setup that simply consists of a single camera overseeing an intersection. This intersection is, it happens to be the entrance, one of the entranceways into the city. So imagine the right-hand lane is leading inside the city, whereas the rest of the lanes are simply the ring going around the city. So from this one vantage point, if I start to play the footage, then we can see that we have lots of data that we can already start collecting. And as I said before, we can alarm around the data. This alarm can then be used in a backend system or immediately as an IoT device to alarm infrastructure around that road. In this example, we can see on the left-hand side one of the lanes where we measure slow traffic. So as traffic starts to accumulate, we actually measure the speed of the vehicles. If I continue this a bit, then you will be able to see when I toggle to the overlay showing the speed, we actually measure the speed of all the vehicles all the time, but we can create an event out of a specific field, in this case, that middle lane, where we have the field around which slow traffic is indicated with basically a low traffic speed of the vehicles occupying that field or that lane.
And do it out of curiosity, it's quite impressive. Lots of data that you show, but from my understanding, this is one single camera that actually labels this or gives this information as a single device.
That's true. It's done at the edge. So our edge cameras are capable of analyzing and delivering the metadata. This eliminates a lot of footprint in the data center, for example. So no servers needed, basically. You can connect data coming out of the camera directly to a dynamic traffic light setup if you have such. So to fit it with that information, or the same technique can be used in an inner city intersection to count pedestrians waiting for the light to switch to green. And then we can directly avoid the case you described right at the beginning of this session, where I'm standing at a red light without anybody needing that, in fact. So, this is exactly what we're doing directly out of the cameras that are capable of IVA Pro traffic, which is what we have employed here. That's a very accurate set of algorithms designed to specifically address this point. So we've measured over 95% of accuracy for counting and classifying vehicles. Plus, we measure speed, and as I will show you in a bit, also sizes of vehicles. All of those really valuable information that can be used in real time in a backend system to alarm, or, as I said, into actual infrastructure.
And all by one sensor. So that also then again underlines what you said earlier, the versatility of the sensor, because there are also other means to the end, detection loops, etc., that you can also use. But here you have one sensor giving you all that information.
One sensor going for the entire frame, analyzing the whole thing. And as I said, also addressing pedestrians, which, for example, this loop in the road simply cannot do.
So let's look at your size example then.
Just to finish the speed example, then here, for example, we have a speeding motorbike. that is simply going over a set threshold of speed that we can configure and receive alarms for enforcement or for displaying those roadside displays, which are also bringing things to the attention of drivers and maintaining the safety of road users. But yeah, going to another important use case, which I think is very relevant to cities, but also quite extending our uniqueness, is that we are able to estimate or to measure the size of the vehicles. In this case, it has to do with bridge strikes. That is a very important and encumbering topic for cities and infrastructure where too high vehicles or trucks mostly, sometimes carrying even dangerous stuff, can collide into bridges. That has to do with bringing it to the attention of the driver most of the time. So if we can measure that and alarm the driver that he's headed to a bridge, which is the case here, and his vehicle is too high to be riding in this lane, then that can save a lot of money, traffic jams, safety issues, of course. Yeah, it can really be helpful in that sense.
Yeah, saves a lot of trouble.
Indeed. So all of that has to do with the real-time alarming, which is coming straight from the camera to the backend system. But on top of that, as you can see, as I said, the right-hand side is actually the entrance to the city.
Yeah.
And in this case, as you can see up there, we're actually counting and classifying all the vehicles going into the city. With XProtect, we can classify cars, bikes, motorbikes, trucks, and buses, and we can count each and every one of them. And if, for example, only cars and motorbikes are allowed to enter the city on a certain day of the week or time of the day, then we can enforce that using the same camera, again, the same one sensor, or we can simply measure that for maintenance reasons and for analyzing and optimizing the city's traffic on a whole. So we can understand if we put this kind of sensor on any intersection leading into the city, we basically end up having quite a good understanding of the traffic, total traffic going into the city and what is inside there right now.
Yeah.
I think it's also worthy to say that you show these great use case examples just to inspire people on what's possible with just one single camera view, one single scene in this case. I think it's also worthy to say that over the last years we have been pulling a lot of strings to make sure that the most of this data visualization can also be received into XProtect, which is, I think, a very strong point towards working further with them. And also we can alarm in real time for those things in XProtect, and then incident responses could be tied to that, right? So I think that's also already a bit of a glimpse of how we can follow up based on working and collaborating with other platforms like Milestone XProtect.
Yeah, correct. I think we will see a bit of that going forward today,
he's already giving a spoiler a bit now.
Yeah.
But anyways, we create some appetite.
That's
now.
a good one.
Yeah.
So, I think this is, again, just an illustration. We can think of a lot more AID tasks that the camera can do, crossing, a line or stopping on the shoulder of the road. Lots of other uses, but I wanted to really focus on what makes us rather unique and how we can contribute specifically to cities.
And that is because thanks for that so far. And guys already gave it a little bit away because it's great technology. But as soon as it is, of course, not made visible in systems, then it's also the best kept secret, which would be a pity. But before we dive into that, guys, there is something else because you just showed it, and I already put it on the screen, so you were already smiling. It's great that those cameras can see all kinds of things and not only see, but also understand what they are seeing. But that also makes it a little bit spooky and also a little bit scary because then you are automatically raising the question, what about privacy?
Correct, and it's not only your own spook, it's basically a legal requirement in some places that if you, especially if we go to that pedestrian example I gave before, we need to protect people's privacy, right? We cannot just we cannot just photograph them in the middle of the...
Different,
that's a different system. Yeah. But happily I can say that with our latest IVA Pro privacy, we can also cater for people's privacy, for vehicle privacy. You can see that already. We have the capability to do dynamic blurring, as you can see there. This dynamic blurring can be applied to the full object. It can
and dynamic, what you mean, as soon as the cars are getting into the field of view of the camera, it's automatically blurred.
Correct. But still, we get all the metadata, all the detections, everything which I explained is still happening. You can see already the classification taking place, but also the counting and everything else is still continuing under this privacy mask. And on top of that, for people, we can blur also the entire person or just the face. We can even blur the entire frame and still get all the rich metadata behind it, so that then the camera is acting purely as a sensor. And to just illustrate how flexible it is, we can apply this blurring to one stream, leaving the other stream completely available to whoever has the right permissions for later on investigating a case.
Yeah, so you can build indeed privacy at the highest level, but also at the same time very flexible, because you still want to use and work with the data.
And also leaving it up to the customer and whatever the rules they have to adhere to be able to comply with them. Yeah.
Thanks, Dorrit, for that. We will basically welcome you back slightly later on. Guys, I'm turning to you now because you were already giving a little bit that spoiler, so the appetite is created. So now let's go to the rest of it. But before we do that, I also want to get our other guest to the stage. Roy, it's up to you. So now I already gave it away. Roy, welcome. You are representing Milestone. Maybe you can say a couple of things about yourself.
Yes, so I'm Roy Band, Technology Partner Manager at Milestone Systems, and responsible for the relationship with Bosch and Milestone, and specifically also about the integration that we have, of course. So that's my basic role.
Thank you, and thanks for joining us here, because it's always good if we talk about others, and then that the others are also there. But before we go there, for the ones viewing at the moment, if you think Milestone, where is this coming from? Since when is Bosch working with Milestone? I can tell you, we have quite a long-lasting relationship, guys. I'm looking at you. You start smiling.
Yeah, it's most of what I'm doing. Yeah.
So it's not since yesterday.
No, absolutely not. I think we've been around together for about 20 years, so we have a lot of legacy projects together, which gained us a lot of experience. We also very carefully estimated that there are currently about 500,000 or more devices of Bosch connected to Milestone backend VMS system, which I think is a very impressive figure by itself. But those, of course, are the cornerstones of what's needed. And I think since I've been working closely with Milestone for about 3 years now, I see that there's a lot of momentum. There's a lot of synergy between the two companies. We have also consciously spoken to each other and committed to becoming strategic partners. So Bosch is one of the very few camera vendors that Milestone is working with and collaborating and developing with on a global level. The other way around is also true. So Milestone is one of only 2 on-prem VMS players that we work with on a global level, which means I think that we are both fully committed to doing similar things. We are definitely committed to make sure that the great Bosch camera capabilities end up being receivable and usable in the Milestone XProtect platform. And what Milestone is also very famous for, and I think especially also in this city traffic environment that we're currently talking about, is that they have a really great platform approach with so many other types of integrations hosted and developed for it, that every piece of that great camera detected data can be used as input for other types of systems. And that sounds cryptic, but it means that our data can trigger traffic management systems, it can trigger access control systems, it can trigger numerous different other types of systems.
Now, Roy, he already gave it away a little bit, and I think also strategic partner, if I may say so. I think that there is also a reason why we choose each other as partners, because I think that also what we are believing in going forward from a vision point of view. I think there we are also sharing a common view. For us, it's basically delivering people the power to predict, meaning the visual intelligence for us is of utmost importance. That's also where we are investing in. But also there, I think Milestone has a great statement because. How are you looking, let's say, in general to AI applications, but also more specifically if we talk about smart cities as we do today? What's your view on it?
Well, basically, our view is that normally we take smart cities like we do with any type of vertical, and it's about creating beyond security use cases. And usually these beyond security use cases are derived from the AI applications inside the devices. So our platform wants to be the leader in open data-driven video technology. And if you actually look at our website, it also states there we empower people, businesses and society with data-driven video technology software. And we try to do the best we can with that. And that also means that we try to get as much functionality from the devices as possible. And that's all about being smart, basically. So get that information in, process it, and do something.
And guys specifically highlighted actually that Milestone stands out with regards to your platform strategy. What does that exactly mean?
Well, it basically means that the people that are using our platform, especially end users, have the freedom of choice on how they implement technology. So the AI technology from the cameras, okay, that's one side, but how do we visualize? So our open platform also allows you to integrate with the dashboard functionality that you in the end need to visualize all the data coming in.
And I think there you make a nice remark. Visualizing,
yes.
because Dorrit just showed us in the example that the real life example from a city that the camera can collect lots of data. But if we then also remember the picture that I showed at the beginning of looking at tons of information, that still feels overwhelming. If you look at all the data sets that the camera is generating based on the video feed, so I think that can also be smarter. And Roy, I would like to invite you to. Let's say, show us how Milestone tackles this.
Let's show. And it's also because considering this is only one camera, right? So if you're in a smart city, you might be having hundreds of cameras. So how do you process all that data?
Exactly.
So let's take a look at a similar example like Dorrit just showed us. So we have a similar type of scenario, the same point of view. I created a little bit of extra detection fields. So we want to measure the queue length here. So we have 3 lanes on the right-hand side of the image. We want to measure the queue length. What happens when cars are driving in? They count every car in that field of view. So you also want it to be filtering on speed. So one of the things that these devices do from Bosch quite nicely is also filter based on speed. So when vehicles actually approach, we want to measure the queue length, and if the queue length is too high, you want to visualize that, for example. So here's the vehicles coming in, and they're slowing down, and you see here the lane counters, lane left, mid, and right, they start populating, and when traffic slows down, it also gives you an alert. So that's all nice, and that's something that we want to visualize in the end.
But Roy, here you actually look at 2 metrics, because the one is the amount of vehicles, but at the same time you're also watching the speed. So those 2 are correlated.
Yeah, and that's the kind of intelligence that you need to build in, because if traffic passes by, it also starts counting of the occupancy in that field. That's typically you don't want, because you only want to measure the queue length.
Exactly.
So basically you only want to count when the traffic slows down.
When the traffic slows down or goes below a certain speed. And that's quite unique in what we see in the edge devices today. The other options that we have here, so Dorrit mentioned speeding, so there's a cross line that's measuring speed, so we want to alarm on that as well. And what Dorrit also had was counting the cars and vehicles, and we can actually see it here. We can differentiate between cars, trucks and buses and motorcycles, so we count them individually. And to finish it off, we also have a solid line crossing. That's a traffic violation if vehicles cross the line in a certain direction, so we want to alarm on that as well. Now, what do we do with XProtect? We take all that data in. So in our next example, I can show you here. This is how we visualize the data coming in.
That's way cleaner, huh?
It's a lot cleaner, and it's also much more interpretable for operators. And you can see the 3 lanes coming back here. 1, 2, 3, left, right, and the mid lane. It says lane almost full because traffic is slowing down, or it's pulling away, and then it moves in the other direction. And below are the actual figures, the numbers. So as an operator, you can decide if you know what 3 means. In this case, you can say, okay, the lane is almost full. So from 3 to 5 or 6, the lane is almost full. From 7 cars or higher, then it's completely occupied, and then we need to do something here. So we can determine what you want to see. On the left-hand side of the image as well, there's a statistics overview of the cars and buses and motorcycles entering or exiting the city. And you can also show the total numbers of the vehicles going in and out. And on the lower part of the screen, you see the amount of traffic violations here. So that's the
But what you're here showing, so it's so easy basically that you don't even need to interpret yourself the numbers. The dashboard also already translates those numbers into is it full or empty or...
Exactly. And now we move into the setup. And you can also see how we classify these numbers. So if you go into the setup, we can determine, okay, how much vehicles do we need before the queue is starting when the traffic slows down? How many vehicles do we need to indicate the lane is almost full? So from 3 to 6, and the lane is full from 7 or higher, whatever it means. And when it's too high, you can also create an alert and have the system automate things as well. So that's how we visualize data in a smarter way, basically.
Yeah, that feels at least, as I said, the example of Dorit, which was making use of our configuration manager, which is of course still the behind-the-scenes view, still quite busy. And this, of course, helps because if we talk about what are the challenges, is that also typically operators want to quickly respond. They want to take action or even automate that action. But yeah, then you also need to have on the spot direct information that enables you to take action. And I think that dashboard that you just showed, Roy, is perfectly capable of doing that.
And there's 2 things about these dashboards, right? So where the most dashboards show historical information, this is all in real time because you want to have the real-time counters coming in. And of course, we do also the statistics. So if we scroll the video a little bit further ahead, you can see also we log the data. So the counting of the cars is also logged. So if you want to spot the trends and statistics to actually make some informed decisions later on, because sometimes alerts are nice, and you know, okay, there's an accident happening or the cars are slowing down. But in the end, you also want to know, as a city planner, how often does it happen? How many traffic violations do we have, or how many collisions do we have? And that's something you capture in a dashboard. And if you have the dashboard, you can also create the reports from it.
So it's helpful for people that use live traffic systems for detecting speeding violations or gaining live insights in a dashboard manner, in a more overseeable manner. And it's also helpful for city planners, like people who need to improve the situation if population starts to increase. And they can gather insights from, hey, how often did this happen in the last?
How often did it happen? And you can also imagine, because you capture data in real time and you show it real time. Let's say if the traffic lights are full or the lanes are full, you maybe want to decide to pull up a road sign saying, hey, divert the traffic to a different direction so you can relieve some of the intersections and provide the citizens value as well from these type of systems, because that's what you want as a city.
Yeah, Roy, I really think that this is doing the trick. So we have often in our industry talked about it's great that you have all that intelligence, but as long as you can't make it visual to people, then what's the use of it? But then it also triggers for me a question: is this something that is standard in Milestone XProtect, or how does it work if I now would be a system integrator, end user?
Well, it's quite easy actually. So the only thing you would need is the OInsights plugin, powered by Connect South Technology Solutions, and the Bosch camera.
Which is another platform partner, basically, right?
It's an MQTT platform or an IoT platform, because the system also takes in other sensor data like temperature sensors, humidity sensors, because being intelligent and smart also requires you to combine information.
Correct.
So the traffic information that you get from the visual information might be influenced by weather information. And that's something you would do in a dashboard like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm convinced, but hey, maybe I'm also biased there. So, Roy, thanks for that. I'm in the meantime also. Oh, hold on. There is a question regarding. There are multiple questions already coming in, but I'm looking for the ones that are most relevant for what we are discussing at this point. So the dashboard, we are talking about the dashboard here. Does the dashboard feature requires a dedicated server, or can it run on the same XProtect server?
It can run on the same XProtect server, absolutely. So that's what we're doing right now as well.
Okay.
If you have a large-scale system, we have to calculate, of course, then probably it might be wise to separate things, also from a redundancy perspective. But basically, it can run on the same system, absolutely.
Now, thanks for now, Roy. We will invite you back slightly later because I want to move on to the next topic. Because, yeah, guys, you already see it. We have at least established which device do we need in order to get the data labels. And then Roy, I think, had a very nice example of how we can visualize it to make people respond in a more efficient way, but also for future planning, but also if you directly have to respond in emergency situations. But then, yeah, there are always that things that you want to investigate a little bit closer.
Yeah.
So how can we do that smarter?
Well, actually, I think, from what we just saw, we saw a very wide field of view with a lot of things happening. And I could imagine, like you're stating, like something happened and then you want to investigate some things after the fact. So maybe a couple of blocks down the road, you would like to search for specific pedestrian characteristics, or you would like to search for specific vehicle characteristics. And actually, we can do that very nicely currently with Milestone. We use standards for that, and our Bosch detected metadata can then be flawlessly received in XProtect directly without any other ingredients needed. And I can also show you a little bit on how that works if you want.
Yeah, because I wanted to say you already take the invite before I'm giving it to you. But indeed, because the others showed it. So I also would here take you up for the challenge and say, listen, the proof of the pudding. Show us how smarter investigations look like.
So, maybe just to show what I'm trying to view here, because it's quite a complex image. There's two situations. The upper situation shows a pedestrian-like scenario. The lower situation shows a vehicle-related scenario, more a traffic flow scenario. And in the upper cameo, I have chosen to also show the IVA Pro privacy characteristics. So here, again, you can also see that within Milestone, you can perfectly stream from the camera a privacy protected image. For this purpose, I will lift it, because otherwise we cannot show what's underneath and what we are going to search for. So as you see, that's what I'm doing right here. And then,
but what you show, the showing, guys, in this case is only for the purpose of this demo, because normally, if the blurring is there, the system actually doesn't care.
Yeah, of course. We can configure it like that. So the beauty of IVA Pro Privacy is that you blur things from the source. So before the data leaves the camera, you can already blur it. What I did now is I configured two streams in parallel. One has been blurred, the other one isn't. And I can toggle a little bit back and forth in Milestone.
But you only show us the unblurred version to basically have us validate what you were telling us.
Yes, exactly. So IVA Pro, our IVA Pro appearance and IVA Pro LPR characteristics, I cannot fully show if the image is blurred, of course. Yeah. So next, we will go to the search tab in XProtect, which is there by default. And after you have configured some stuff in the management client, you here now as a user can select your time frame in which you would like to search, and your camera or cameras, because this can be done through multiple cameras with the right licenses at the same time. You can then go to the People tab in this case, because we have the camera equipped with IVA Pro Appearance from Bosch. And then, let's start simply. Let's start by searching someone with a backpack, for instance. And that's what we are going to do here now. And immediately you see that there starts to populate some outcomes. And let's select one here. You'll immediately see that that's me with a backpack. So it very accurately takes the camera metadata and we search for that specific attribute across that in XProtect.
And guys, what you just showed is that it seems to me, but maybe it's also the distance, it seems to be very intuitive because I saw that you can easily select some pre-filters. And that is actually then something that is populated in XProtect because we are looking at the XProtect user interface, but it's of course based on what then the camera is bringing. So,
Absolutely.
So the level of granularity determines then the number of filters. And it, of course, makes it very intuitive then, because it's something that you easily understand. Backpack or non-backpack, that's easy.
Yes, we filter and search for edge-detected metadata, and that can be attributes from our side. So IVA Pro Appearance provides for a lot of attributes, personal attributes that you can search for, like glasses, hair length, hair color, top and bottom clothing types and colors, backpacks and bags. So it gives you an easy way within XProtect to search across camera-detected edge-generated metadata.
But now you built excitement, because you said it, backpack, that's easy peasy, but now, make it a little bit more difficult.
Let's spice it up a bit, and let's combine some attributes. So what we did here is we searched for a female with short sleeves and glasses. That's 3 attributes combined. And you will see that the results pop up almost at the same speed. And if we select one of those results, you'll see immediately that here we see a lady with short sleeves and glasses.
Did you not select more than only the short sleeves and the glasses?
A lady, short sleeves, and the glasses.
So it was searching on 3 elements.
Yeah, exactly. And now I also wanted to show you how it works with the vehicle-related IVA Pro LPR, or IVA Pro LPR combined with make model recognition, which is also available. That's what I'm actually using here. So I then go to the Vehicles tab in XProtect, centralized search, instead of in the Peoples tab. And then we can search for license plate characteristics, such as characters, country codes, state codes, if you're in the US, for instance, vehicle brands and vehicle models. And you can also combine them. So here I will start searching for just a number, 8. So that means that the license plate just needs to contain the number 8 somewhere. It doesn't even need to be the first number. So also with partial information, which sometimes happens in an investigative case, of course, you can already start looking around for suspect vehicles or vehicles that you would like to monitor a bit. So then let's take the example. We are in the US. This use case was filmed in the US, so it's in New York, but I'm going to search for a New Jerseyan license plate, which is very particular because in the US, it's not, you have to recognize it from the format of the license plate. So here, if you zoom in, if you were to zoom in, you will clearly see New Jersey written there. So it can very accurately detect also between regions.
Exactly,
even. And then let's search for a vehicle brand, for instance. In this case, I chose Nissan as a brand. You'll immediately see this recognizable logo of Nissan. And again, this is all edge generated, so there's no server needed. It's just a camera with intelligence that you hook up to XProtect. You configure some stuff without any additional software or ingredients needed, and then you're good to go. But also, if you don't know the brand, you can directly search for the model. So in this case, this is a ProMaster van by the brand Ram. You can immediately search for that ProMaster.
Yeah, the vehicle type then, basically.
Exactly, yeah. So it's very versatile. Also the searching across the data. And I think this is a major improvement to get our edge data consolidated in a VMS backend and easily searched for. I think that is what I'm very enthusiastic about.
Yeah, and what you also show, I think, and that's for me also key, if I go back to what we showed at the beginning, is that we were talking about how can we do things smarter. And if you have a lot of data, first of all, we were looking at the case that we have a lot of video. Now we have a case that we have a lot of data, basically. But then, how can you then easily, again, sift through all that data? And I think that what you are now showcasing here is that it's so easy. And also, you have a relatively quick response time from the system, which also makes you better and more effective in your responses.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that, guys. So he kept word, I would say. Yeah. So he also did prove that it works in real life. It's not only a theoretical story. So thanks for that. You can, if you want, you can join me back here on the stage. And I also promised that we would take Dorrit and Roy back. So please join us again on the stage, because there are some general stuff that we still want to discuss. And there are also some questions coming in, so I thought that's also a nice opportunity to take the chance of answering those questions. Roy, I will start with you.
Yes.
I should have started with Dorrit because you are the lady, but I did that already at the beginning. Okay, thank you. Roy, the question that comes from the audience is that we briefly touched on OInsights. Does OInsights also require an additional license?
Yes, there's a base license for the product and a device license for the cameras you want to connect. That's as simple as it is. And it's an IoT device license, basically. Okay. So we consider the camera as an IoT device.
That's clear. Then now I will go to you, Dorrit, because they are asking, and I will try to carefully formulate now, can incidents such as a stopped car, no parking or wrong direction driving be detected by the same camera?
No parking?
Yeah, so basically...
No parking zones.
So no, an incident as a stopped car.
Yeah.
So we are not talking about a car that is being parked or is wrongly, driving in the wrong direction. It's simply, can that incident, that stopped car, in your example, can it also be detected at the same time?
Sure. I think I mentioned that we can detect a car stopping on the shoulder of the road. We can detect wherever a field is drawn, like I did, for example, for that lane measuring the speed from 0 to 7 kilometers per hour. We can definitely detect it when it stops, and we can detect it when it has already been stopped for an X amount of seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and then, because that is what we did not show, but if you then think about weather conditions, are weather conditions actually making a difference?
With AI, we are super precise. I would say with IVA Pro traffic for vehicles, we've elevated the level of accuracy really to a very good place where weather is not creating disturbances almost at all. Yeah. I always feel difficult saying 100%. There is no 100%, right? But it's really negligible in that sense. For incident detection in POCs that I was involved in, it was very close to 100%, detecting that car stopping the wrong side or the pedestrian on the highway, for example. With counting and classification, as I said, we are over 95% in our own calculations. So
you are saying, although that the scene that we used in this example is still then a straightforward scene, but you say if that would be in a more harsh condition, you are also saying actually the same reliability can be expected.
Sure.
We were talking about OInsights that requires a separate license. That also brings me then back to you guys, because you showed how you can do smarter searches, etc. And you told already, I believe you gave it away a little bit by saying, you only need to connect. You have the camera, you put the license on if needed, because some licenses are already by default there. You put the license on, and then you connect it to Milestone XProtect, and you're done. So that means that I don't need any additional software.
So we used to have situations where we developed specific intermediate software for Bosch to connect some of our metadata to XProtect. That's no longer needed. So we don't need anything else. To give a concrete answer to your question, no.
So no,
not at all.
That's clear, that's very simple. Yeah, no is no.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. Dorrit, back to you, because I already said it at the beginning. Smart cities is it's way bigger as what we discussed. We were very much focused here on traffic, the use of roads, etc. But I can imagine that there is way more to say about smart cities and how visual intelligence and intelligent video can help there.
Correct. A city is a full world on its own, so it has everything. And again, we touched on the two topics that I think are the major pain points for cities, but also the ones that we can immediately alleviate with our technology. However, we can think definitely of more use cases where we can certainly help, such as this additional domains, such as infrastructure monitoring and environmental monitoring, smart parking for sure. We have great treatment for vehicles. We can apply for smart parking and also curbside management, for example, all those areas where you're allowed to park for 15 minutes and go, or 30 minutes and go. Those kinds of applications are pretty straightforward for our cameras as well, especially with a backend system that is capable of creating the follow-up scenario.
Like Milestone, XProtect.
Like Milestone, of course, yeah. And then, of course, commercial spaces. That is also part of the city where you would want to, for example, use the appearance to locate a lost child or a person that is a suspect and, was also only seen for a second by somebody saying they have a red hoodie and whatever.
Exactly.
So the commercial space is sometimes counting people is relevant to show the business holders how much traffic is generated there. Lots of use cases around that. And of course, disaster and emergency response, such as green corridors, enabling vehicles to pass by as quickly as possible, but also navigating the aid persons to the correct places. So really lots and more than that even.
Lots to talk about, but that probably for
the next time, right?
Live
we
stream,
need to leave something.
That also slowly but gradually brings us that we move to the end of our live stream. But before we do that, I think it's also nice to quickly recap why we are standing here today and also what makes the difference. And I think it was already stressed by both guys, but also by Roy, is that both companies have a mutual strategic fit. So where we are in the business to basically serve the same needs in the marketplace, which are very much data-driven, because we do feel that the future of video security will be in that data-driven arena. And also, Roy, and I'm very pleased to hear that, you also said something about to my recollection, there is no edge device, or not that I'm aware of, that can detect multiple things at the same time. For example, counting can be done, classification of vehicles, but at the same time also speed detection. So that is quite a unique...
and it can go a lot further than that if you want to combine it with color, with the type of vehicle. So you only want to measure the speed of a bus, for example. You can do that.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because then it comes down to the granularity of the data. And if you see more, basically, and also understand what you see, then you can also do more with it.
Exactly.
So then you have even better responses.
If buses are the problem in your city, then you can monitor that.
Yeah, buses are always the problem in the cities. Yeah, exactly.
For example,
they never come on time. So anyways, they are too high, as you were already saying, Dorit. Another important point is the regulatory compliance, because I think that also Milestone there feels very strong about it. I believe that's also going together with your
responsible use of technology.
Responsible, indeed. Yeah, we take privacy very seriously. I believe also Milestone had quite some acts that you signed also on the AI side, etc.
Absolutely, we committed to the European AI Act.
Yeah. And that's of course also something that is also very important, the privacy, because the more we know, also people are having concerns, but also that I think was nicely addressed by you, Dorit, that we can tackle that. And at the same time, as also Milestone does, we take it very seriously that we are following the rules that are applicable. The data, of course, gives us a good way of analyzing, because if we can analyze the data, either the system itself or by human intervention, we can start to optimize the things, but we can also start responding, either automated or not. And last but not least, but that way I think that we also made the whole investigation of things way smarter, all data-driven. So I think, the future ahead of us is data-driven video security, I would almost say. Thanks already for you guys to to bring this all to the table. I already see questions coming in, and keep them coming, because I can imagine that you have some questions. But before we go there is one final thing that the guys are, I believe, extremely proud of, on presenting it to you, and that has to do with what they call Book a City Assessment. And basically what you should now see on the screen, there is a QR code. You can directly scan it, and that means that you can then already sign up for... Yeah, you can tell it now, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you found this nice and inspiring, but you would like to understand how things would apply in your project, for instance, if you're working with an end customer on a city project, then we are more than willing to help you out, to consult you for specific city assessments, because there's no city that is equal. So we also would need to adjust to the region, to the compliance of that region. And I think that Roy and I can definitely help you out there, and our colleagues alike, because there's quite a lot of knowledge residing in our organizations that we would be more than happy to share with everyone around.
Yeah, together with system integrators assessing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
because I think what you just saw is only the tip of the iceberg of what we can do in a city. So yeah.
No, I think that's we always think, we have more than enough time, and always we see that we fall short a little bit on time. But anyways, I think you did a great job. I can't scan the QR code from here, otherwise I would have done it, but I'm also not the right customer. But take that chance, of course, scan it, and the guys will follow up afterwards. Of course, we will, as normal, also follow up on the live stream, so you will get a recap of this after the live stream. And then I think it's time for the last 5 minutes to look at some questions. So I'm still hoping that you're up for it. I promise I will not make it too difficult. So yeah, let's have a look at the Q&As. So first of all, I will start with Roy with the XProtect, which, it's very detailed already, Roy, so I hope that you can, otherwise we can follow it up afterwards.
We'll see.
Which XProtect version is required to make use of the Bosch LPR analytics?
Basically, XProtect plus, Express Plus and higher.
Yeah, and you need version 2024 R2 or higher.
Yeah.
Okay, very detailed. So I hope, I can't repeat it, but I hope that you already noted it down. Otherwise you can, of course, always watch the recording. And then I think this is a camera question, so I'm looking at you, Dorrit. I don't even think it is a camera question. So should smart cameras be doubled for redundancy in critical areas? So you showed, of course, the example with one camera, but would it be safe to say that you build some redundancy in there?
I haven't seen that as a general practice, I have to say. So the cameras are basically connected with an Ethernet connection, really eliminating the need for redundancy on the server end side, because we're doing the analytics at the edge. But I imagine if there's a critical point where the connectivity could be an issue, then I would consider making either the connectivity part redundant or even doubling the camera there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is definitely doable. However, I'm not sure how much need there is for that on a general...
Yeah, because then you almost expect that the camera is failing, so
Yeah,
then you need to have an extra camera.
Redundancy is something that you do when you expect a failure on a higher, higher level of probability, or when the scene is super critical. So either this or that would arrive at an answer of yes, but otherwise...
But is it then not so that actually by default, by working on the edge, you already have a high level of let's say, call it then security for that matter? Because
you eliminate the single point of failure, right?
Yeah,
if you did that on a server side,
if
you do the analytics on the server, then if the server fails, 20 cameras are now not doing anything, right? Yeah. They're only doing basic video. We're doing that at the edge, so the expectancy of a failure is one sensor. Yeah. And if that one sensor is super critical, then yes, I would recommend to make it redundant.
Yeah, but also there, then the question is what fails, because if the connection fails, the camera standalone still keeps on working, so there is not necessarily data lost for that matter, but of course it would then require some local recording, SD card recording. But you're right, if in worst case the camera breaks down, then you have only a small blind spot. Yeah. Not, let's say, if you would work with a server, maybe a whole network of cameras.
And that's why
Correct.
we have redundancy in our server setup. So if you have the cameras recorded to a Milestone server, you can
Exactly.
set up these single point of fails in a redundant setup, so you're always sure you receive the data you need.
So would it then be correct to say as a takeaway, so redundancy depends very much on the situation, so what are you looking at? But both systems, both on the VMS side as well as on the camera side, have high levels of flexibility to basically cater it to the needs that are required. Another metadata related question, so I'm sticking to you. Is it possible to combine the metadata, example speed and counting, with license plate information collected from the LPR cameras? Basically to have it all in one data collection point. So I think then I would interpret the data collection point as the dashboard of Roy. So is that a possibility?
So currently our LPR licenses run standalone. So I think the question is, can we do IVA Pro traffic and IVA Pro LPR on the same camera? And currently this is not possible. However, with our upcoming CPP16 cameras, that should be possible.
Okay.
And with a greater processing power, we will be able to support that as well.
Then again, thanks to all three of you for today. That brings us at the end. As a matter of fact, we are a couple of seconds over. Thank you for watching. And before you go, maybe there is also still some time to click on a button to tell us how you liked this live stream. That also helps us improve the next time. Thank you for watching and hoping to see you next time.